What's going on, everyone? We're making this video for the second time because when I restart my computer, it doesn't auto sync with my microphone for some odd reason. Does it to me all the time. What I was covering in the last video that I recorded was I want to start going over some scalping setups that you guys can maybe start to identify on a day in and day out basis. Okay. A lot of times with trading, there's a lot of intuition and there's a lot of experience of the intuition from the past. And what that means is you're kind of confident looking for certain key levels in the market. You're looking for certain patterns to kind of set up. And when you see these setups kind of present themselves, because you've seen them in the past prior, and because you've traded them in the past prior, you tend to remember what it feels like and what it should look like if it's going to work, and you tend to see where you can potentially get out with minimal damage if it doesn't work. And I call them trade ideas. I call it price action trading. But this morning, what I was looking for, and for some of you guys that were on the live mentorship call, you guys seen some of these trades work. You also seen me take a loss, but we cut the loss early and then we battle back. We find the next setup and everything pays for itself in the end, right? So what I'm looking at here, I want you guys to focus on this 1 minute time frame on the right hand side. Okay. So the dotted line on the top is your 30-minute high. Your dotted line on the bottom is your 30-minute low. 30-minute opening range has been beautiful. It's been beautiful for the better half of a week. Now, could this change when market conditions change? Sure, right? Could we get, a period of time where the 30-minute opening range high is confirmed and then it's nothing more than a trap to sell back down to the lows? Absolutely. But until that happens, we're going to continue to hammer this trade to the long side when it sets up. The first idea that I want to kind of show you guys here is also take note that my 30-minute opening range high and low is drawn on with a Fibonacci retracement with a 61.8 and a 50% on here. Okay, so the 61.8 and the 50% on here. Here's a clear rule. If we're trading over the 50% retracement, I'm long biased. I'm not really looking to short until I see something significant. If we were trading below the 50% retracement, then I would be looking for short bias trades and maybe even the lows to give way. So until that happens, we want to kind of stick to the long side. Now, the first setup that I want you guys to kind of identify is notice how when we put in the 30-minute opening range high, we start to pull back on this 1 minute candle. And through time and experience, you start to see where these prices pull back and where they kind of hold. So what I'm looking at here is a swing low. I'm looking at this rising 20 SMA on a 1 minute time frame acting as trailing support. I also have a trend line here. So you can see as we dip into this 20 SMA, there's a clear definitive trend line. Now I'm not taking trend line breaks on the first break attempt. I'm waiting for them to break and then I'm waiting for a following candle to take out the highs, and that's when I'm attacking that trade. In this particular trade, you can target the 30-minute opening range high, or you can tell yourself, well, if we do take out this 30-minute opening range high, I want to be involved in that trade, and I've got a pretty good entry down here. So you can definitely hold this trade. And again, those of you guys who were on the call with me this morning, you guys heard me, get a little upset because I had that 15-point take profit bracket set and I completely forgot. And as soon as I got into this trade here, it spiked and I ended up, closing out for a 15-point winner, which is completely fine, but I would have liked to have held that trade, right, for a little bit longer. Didn't really matter because we double backed into the trade once we broke the 30-minute opening range high. Again, same rules apply. You want to see that price get broken and then you want to confirm. This was also another 15-point winning trade here. Those of you guys who were trading with me, we had that big gap up, right? Some of you guys actually caught this gap up. Again, kudos to you guys. So that's an idea there, what you want to be looking for, right? You want to be looking for, strength. You want to be looking for these trend line breaks. Okay. That's one idea. Another idea for you guys to kind of look at here is this dotted line up here is now my initial balance. So your initial balance is just the first hour trade range, high and low. Once we set this initial balance, we pull all the way back here to our 30-minute opening range high. This pullback needs to be studied. This pullback needs to be taken, because if you look at this setup, from when we break the 30-minute opening range here, we put in a high and we pulled back. And notice where the break and retest was, exactly to our 30-minute opening high range. So what we're looking for on those type of situations is doji candle, hammer candle, inverse hammer candle, depending on if the trade setup is long or short. Doji candle, hammer candle, inverse hammer candle off of that break and retest. You can see here our hammerish doji style candle right here. Boom, pause, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, retest of the 30-minute opening high range break, pause. Now we want to get in as soon as we kind of break, right? As soon as we break that previous candle. So what we're using as a stop loss, very simple, any closure back inside the 30-minute opening range. Very, very simple. So start looking and trying to identify those trade setups as well. The next setup was right here that I want to show you guys. The first break of the initial balance. It breaks the initial balance high, puts in a high, pulls back. So here's your retest. However, no continuation. No continuation. So when you see this, what are we looking for, guys? Levels of supply, levels of demand. Doji candle, inverse hammer, hammer candle. We get our hammer candle closing back inside the initial balance. This creates a very low risk trade by putting a stop loss above the high of day and shorting this into, not low of day, you're not targeting way down here, you're shorting into support. Very, very simple. Now, obviously it goes down a little farther. You know, that's for you guys to manage, right? We're not going to sit here and say, well, on this trade, I could have taken 50 points and on this trade, I only took 20. Guys, just always take profits into support, into supply, and you're going to do fine. If you want to hold the runner here, move your stop loss to break even, fine, great. Do that, and then you'll squeeze a little bit more points on here. We're not going to talk about how many more points, how much more water we can squeeze out of the rock. All I want to identify is, here's my stop loss. Here's my potential for this little reversion. Okay, this little quick rejection. This quick rejection through the initial balance, and we're shorting that into our support. Okay, so with that being said, those are a few setups here that you can start to scalp, a few setups that you can start to look for, and again, it's going to help you with your day-to-day trading, because these are adding more tools to your tool belt. But the problem is that we don't look for them. So if we're not looking for them, we're not going to be ready for them, right? Trend line break here was also good. Look at the trend line break. Here's your break. Here's your confirmation. Your stop loss is below that 20 SMA, right? You're targeting the initial balance highs. So again, you know, there's a lot of little setups in here throughout the day where you can catch 10 points, 15 points, 20 points. And if you really think about it, if you go into the mindset with, I'm really looking for the best potential 2 or 3 setups, and I'm going to fire those shots, win, lose, or draw, I'm going to be happy with the results, and I'm going to come back tomorrow and I'm going to look for the best 2 or 3 setups, and I'm going to fire those shots. I hope this video helps you guys. I'll see all of you guys on a trading floor.